Alright, so this should be video 3 for our paper mache series. And something I've been noticing in all of my videos, and I'm sorry that I'm just now addressing it in the video, or in a video, the volume cuts out at the very beginning, and I'm not sure why. So hopefully you've heard everything that I've said. If not, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do. But hopefully you're getting the main gist of what I'm trying to say in each video. Anyway. Okay, so the last video you should have seen me construct this sculpture here in wire. And then I'm pretty sure I got as far as the head and a little bit of the shoulders for the sculpture. Now, as you can see, I've completed the sculpture now, fully making sure that it's covered in tape. So remember that tape needs to be the outermost layer, just so that Celluclay doesn't really absorb into the paper and make it all soggy and messy and gross. So this is my figure here, and I want to point out a couple things that I think you may want to think about adding before you get to the Celluclay. Just because the Celluclay is kind of like the sealant in a way. It is the top coat. Now you're going to be able to alter this top coat a little bit by sanding, but not really by much. Just know that. So make sure you're happy with your masking tape and your tape job, or your masking tape and your paper job, before you move on to the Celluclay. But anyway, two things that I've added that I really think help make this piece look more authentic, and also adds that, or is that added feature, added element to my sculpture already. And I pointed this out with Caden's sculpture, if you remember in the very first video with the paper mache project, and that is adding sleeves. So what I did, actually I can show you because I didn't do it on camera. I just took a piece of masking tape. Let's see if I can find the end here. And this will be the briefest of demos. And then what I did, just so it wasn't sticky at the ends, was I folded it in half like this. And then for the sleeve, I went and wrapped it. Normally, when we have a sleeve, it sets on our bicep here, and it falls down. So I just looped it around where that sleeve would hit, like so, and I would tape it closed like this. This person has really big sleeves. And then I just created or added more tape around it. So that is it. Sleeves are pretty easy. So I did that for the shirt, and then I also did that for the pant leg. And just so you know, when you sit, normally that top or front part of your pant comes out. So I try to keep that in mind when creating it. So that's kind of just an added feature that I think really makes it look authentic. But anyway, just wanted to point that out because I think it's a game changer. Okay. Before we get started with the Celluclay, I'm going to talk about the materials you need. And I've already started sectioning it out and portioning it out for you guys for the fall. And that is, you need a bag of Celluclay. And I already have these portioned out, so you should be getting around this much in your Ziploc. And then you need a cup of water. You need a cup for your Celluclay, so you can slowly add that water in. And then you need a popsicle stick. But before you do all of that, you need a paint mat. And this is the paint mat here. It's just a poster board. A lot of them are folded in half. And you will find these under the counter in that open space. So in that open shelf under the counter where all the supplies are. So back counter, under the shelf, please, please, please use a painting mat so you don't get celluclay on the tables and cause a big old mess. So, also, this is a great place for it to dry. So normally I have you guys, once you finish with your Celluclay, you'll leave your sculpture on your paint mat and go sit it by the window. That's what we've done in the past, and it works pretty well. Okay, so let's finally get into some Celluclay. So I've already explained what you needed, but I do want to say you need to slowly mix your Celluclay because once you introduce water to your Celluclay and it dries, that's it. You can't touch it anymore. Now, you could add water to it once it dries, but it's just going to make it soggy. That glue, that dehydrated glue, is not going to react anymore. Just think about dried Elmer's glue and you threw water on top of it, like nothing would happen. Okay, so I'm just going to grab as much as I need for right now. So let's say I really wanted to just focus on the face today. And so, yeah, I'm going to grab, so that's about, I don't know, 2/3 of my cup. And then as far as the consistency goes, I try to aim for like a peanut buttery consistency. And what's great is if you go too, or add too much water, you can always add more Celluclay. But in this case right here, this would work. But I'm going to add a little bit more water. That. And I have found this year, the more you stir it and mess with it, the smoother we can get it. So trying to get all those clumps out. Like I said, this doesn't look the most appetizing. However, I had to smell it. It doesn't have a smell to me, so it looks gross, but doesn't smell gross, so that's like an added bonus. So I like go through and I really mix this. Celluclay takes a while to dry. So that is actually a good segue because you could be like, Miss Spence, why didn't we just go with the wire and then add Celluclay onto that? We did the whole masking tape and the newsprint paper in place of adding all the Celluclay because one, it would take forever to dry, and two, it really wouldn't stick well to the wire. So that is why we don't jump from the wire to the Celluclay, and this step takes place in between. So that was a question I got this year. So anyway, I forgot what I was saying already. Oh, Celluclay takes a while to dry, so we don't want to apply like a majorly thick layer. Okay, so I'm getting it about as smooth as I'm getting it right here. I don't know if you can tell. It's pretty smooth. This is kind of like a thick pancake batter consistency. If I'm being honest, I think I go for a little bit thinner when I'm making pancakes, but I'm pretty happy with this. And then what I do next is I take the Celluclay and then I start spreading it onto my sculpture. And I want you to notice I'm not going really thick. I am trying to cover up all that masking tape. And I'm just trying to smooth it out. If your Celluclay is super bumpy when you apply it, it's going to dry very bumpy, and that's going to make a lot more work for you when it comes to sanding. So try to get it as smooth as you can when initially applying it. Also, a next piece of advice here is I would, if it were me, I would choose one side to Celluclay for the day. So for instance, I'm starting on the front of the face here. I would probably just continue to go down the front of the shirt, around the arms, legs, or a great rule of thumb is you want to do one side that's not going to hit this paint mat, because if I went and did the back side, it's going to dry onto this paint mat and you're going to have to rip it to get it off. So just try to do all the parts that won't hit the paint mat while it's drying. So for genuinely the next part, I am just going to continue mixing and adding Celluclay. And again, mix little bits of Celluclay at a time. Don't go in and try to dump your whole bag in. One, it's not going to fit in your cup. And two, you don't want to waste it all in one day. Okay, so I'm finishing up the little head here. This is also a great time that if I wanted to add like a nose or something, I could go through and start molding one on here. Again, I'm not trying to go too thick. I could go through and add like a nose. It's a very big nose, but we've got one here. And this person needs a chin, if that's supposed to be me in this case. I have a chin, so I should probably add that. So Celluclay is great for, again, like a little top coat finale, but you can mold with it too. So if you wanted to add sleeves in that regard instead of the tape, I guess you could. It would just take longer to dry, so just kind of keep that in mind. Then I can kind of form the eyes. I've given myself a humongous nose, so probably the next time you see this, my nose will look a little bit better if I decide to keep it. But anyway, that is how you work with Celluclay. Again, once you finish for the day, I would, if you want to keep this and make sure it's nice and still like saturated for the next day, I would go grab a Ziploc bag. At this moment, they're above the last sink closest to the door. Hopefully they're still there in the fall if I don't reorganize everything by then. But throw this in a Ziploc bag and seal it shut and just put it in your shelf. I guess I could show you that real quick. So I'm going to go grab that. So here I have my Ziploc bag. I'm just going to throw the whole cup in. I don't need to dump anything out. I'm just going to seal it all in. I want to make sure I got all that air out though. And close it. So just like that, you should have everything you need or from the day before, and then additional Celluclay and your sculpture. All right, the next video I should have this fully Celluclayed, if that's a word, and it should be dry, and I'll show you how to sand everything. But before I get off here, make sure everything is covered in Celluclay. You want to get it as smooth as possible, so try to get out those little lumps and bumps. You don't want them there. But anyway. Oh, and then again, make sure you lay this down on your painting mat. Go set it by the window where I have my little colorful carpet. If that colorful carpet is not there, surely it will be. I don't know why I'm acting like my room is going to change a bunch. But go set it by there and let it dry. And hopefully it's dry within that 24-hour time span. Anyway, that is Celluclay. I hope this was helpful. This is probably one of the most fun projects or process in this project, at least for me. But anyway, you guys go have fun and go make some cool sculptures. Bye, guys.